My name is Mollie Malone. The U.S. federal child protection laws provide incentives for child protection agencies to remove children from their families for less than compelling reasons. When our family moved from Minnesota to North Carolina, we never dreamed our children would be taken from us simply because my husband was unemployed. But that is precisely what happened, and the story got even worse. This is our story. In October 2008, my husband, David Malone, lost his job as an over-the-road truck driver in Minnesota. We moved to Willard, North Carolina to stay with David's sister. The plan was to stay with her until David got a job and we were able to get our own place. I was 7 months pregnant with Frankie, and we already had a 22-month-old son named Junior. We stayed with David's sister for less than a week when the household arrangements were unfortunately disrupted, and we needed to find another place to stay. David had no job, we had very little money, and I was due to deliver my second child in less than 2 months. We stayed in motels until the money was beginning to run low. One time we even slept in our truck to save money for gas and food. We first turned to our families for assistance, but we were still unsuccessful in getting stable. We moved to Wilmington, North Carolina, hoping for a better opportunity to find jobs. We went to New Hanover County's Department of Social Services for assistance. Little did we know that we were entering the dark world of legal child abduction within the child welfare industry. Child Protective Services informed us that an anonymous caller reported us to them as being low income with a child with special needs, and that I was about to soon deliver another child. Child Protective Services immediately took Junior into custody and placed him in a foster home on January 23, 2009. 1 month later, on February 23, 2009, I gave birth to little Frankie. By this time, with family help, we had rented a 2-bedroom mobile home, and my husband had a secured job paying minimum wage. In spite of this, Social Services took Frankie into custody when Frankie was only 3 days old, right out of the Betty Cameron's Women's and Children's Center at New Hanover Regional Medical Center in Wilmington, North Carolina. David was still unable to find stable employment in his field of work, and due to the major stress, I was severely depressed. Losing my children was the worst situation that ever happened to me in my entire life. The economy was in a recession, and jobs were very hard to find in the Wilmington area. Currently, the boys are in 2 separate adoptive homes. David and I have lost our parental rights over the boys. We appealed this case in North Carolina, and later we tried to appeal the case in federal court. We were told we were wasting our time and money, and that the Supreme Court would not give us the time of day. We were advised by our family lawyers to move out of North Carolina when they found out I was pregnant with our 3rd son, who we nicknamed Bubba. According to Minnesota law, he was taken into custody by Ramsey County Social Services 3 days after he was born on June 28, 2011, at St. Joseph's Hospital in St. Paul and placed in a foster home. They claimed the reason for him being taken was an automatic response to the prior TPRs, termination of parental rights, in North Carolina. Ramsey County accused David and I of, quote-unquote, physical abuse due to disregard of safety to the newborn child, claiming there was threatened injury because our other boys were taken from us. It is clear that the laws were interpreted differently in Minnesota. When our attorney, the guardian ad litem, the social worker, and the county attorney reviewed the North Carolina documents and concluded that a child would never be removed in Minnesota on such grounds. On their unanimous recommendation, the judge summarily dismissed the case. Later, we were told by Ramsey County officials that they had received emails and phone calls from the Department of Social Services in New Hanover County, North Carolina, urging that they not be granted custody, that we not be granted custody of our 3rd child. In other words, they were trying to sway the opinions of officials on a case in another state. Several months after our 3rd child, excuse me, Several months after our third son was returned to us, we received a document in Minnesota stating that our names would go on a list of child abusers and on a national registry of child abuse and neglect, because we had termination of parental rights in North Carolina. If this happened, it would mean that my husband could not, for example, drive a bus if children were passengers, or I could not work in a daycare center. This led to another legal battle, causing us more stress and lots of money and loss of time. The case was eventually dismissed in April of this year. Our son is doing well. He's a healthy little boy who should be able to play with his two older brothers. This is a constitutional issue of great public interest to all those who support pro-family values. Please help us bring our two beloved sons home to where they belong so we can be a family once again. It is not a crime to be poor.